It turned out that, due to a mistake, the wrong documents had been handed over for the upcoming meeting. The meeting was scheduled to start in 30 minutes at 1 p.m., and the office was about 12 miles away. Considering the traffic, there was no way to make it by car. It seemed like a hopeless situation. I raised my voice slightly. Would you let my company handle that job? Everyone's attention immediately turned to me. Sophia asked in a trembling voice, "Can you make it in time?" I nodded firmly. You won't make it by car. But everyone's eyes widened at my next words. My name is Liam, and I'm 30 years old. I work as a delivery driver for a certain shipping company. Every day, I drive my light van around the same area, making deliveries and pickups. There's no change or color in my daily life. They were just silent, monotonous days of completing my daily quota. What gives my days a little bit of color is the smile of Sophia, an office clerk at a small equipment company, who always says, "Oh, Liam, thank you for your hard work today. Good to see you. Here are the documents for your company," I said, holding out a thick brown envelope. She would take the brown envelope with a huge smile and greet me cheerfully. "Thank you, as always." She has an overall petite and adorable impression. Her slightly small, double eyelids eyes are particularly charming. As I delivered similar brown envelopes 2 or 3 times a week, she started talking to me. And now, here, this is a new snack they were selling at the convenience store. Please have some. She would occasionally give me small treats. Thank you, I'll enjoy them. There's nothing I can give her in return. After I started receiving these little snacks, I once tried to give her a souvenir from a short trip I took as a way of returning the favor. I couldn't just give it to her, so I brought a rather large box of cookies for everyone in the company to share. But when I did, Sophia frowned. She told me that being so considerate made it harder for her to casually give me snacks. "I just give them to you on a whim, so please don't worry about returning the favor," she had said. Since then, I've just been receiving snacks and candy from her, always bowing my head politely in thanks. Someday, I'd like to personally invite her to dinner to thank her for everything. But the office is an open space, and there's always someone around. I can't be bold enough to ask her out in front of her colleagues, and if she turned me down, it would be awkward even to come for deliveries. With a long list of such excuses, time has passed without me being able to ask her out. I know I'm a coward. Right now, I have nothing to be proud of. Living a monotonous life, I was a pathetic man who lacked the courage to take a single step out of that monotony. Then, one day, I was walking up the stairs to Sophia's company, my heart pounding a little. I had found an incredibly delicious Thai restaurant nearby. Previously, she had offered me some incredibly spicy snacks, saying, "I guess you probably don't want this, do you? I love spicy food, and I just bought this new one I found, but it's probably not to your taste, is it?" I jumped at the chance. I love spicy food too. I feel like it's easier to invite someone to a meal if you have a shared taste. So, although I usually cook for myself, I had been eating out recently, searching for a spicy and delicious restaurant. Every place was good, but they all lacked a deciding factor. Then, yesterday, I wandered into a newly opened Thai restaurant and was convinced that I could confidently recommend this place to Sophia. Carried by that momentum, I plan to ask Sophia to dinner, which is why, so to speak, my heart has been racing. I rang the chime of the equipment company and called out as usual, "Good day, I have a delivery." I felt my voice quaver a little, but Sophia, likely oblivious to such a subtle change, greeted me with her usual smile. "Thank you." Sophia's voice trailed off. The office phone had rung. Sophia usually answers the office phone, so she clasped her hands together in a sorry gesture and ran to the office phone. I stood there, holding the brown envelope I was about to give her, feeling a bit awkward as I waited for her to finish her call. "What? No, that can't be." Sophia's frantic cry echoed through the office. Her colleagues also turned their attention to her, wondering what was wrong. Sophia rummaged through her desk and pulled the contents out of a brown envelope. "Oh no, This is the one. I made a mistake. I'm so sorry. Sophia closed her eyes, her apology cut short. A man's angry voice, audible even through the receiver, shouted, "What are we going to do? I'll get it there somehow. I'll do something." With that, Sophia hung up the phone and began explaining the situation to the oldest man in the office. She had apparently completely forgotten about me. To summarize the story I overheard, the call was from an employee who had gone to a meeting at a company in the next city, and Sophia had mistakenly given him documents intended for a different company. The employee, having arrived early to account for traffic, had finally noticed when he checked the contents. The road to the next city is unnecessarily long. There's a large mountain with a shrine at its midpoint, and a national highway runs around it. And since that highway is the only main artery connecting to the next city, it's always congested, no matter the time of day. The meeting was scheduled to start in 30 minutes at 1 p.m., and the office was about 12 miles away. Considering the traffic, there was no way to make it by car. It seemed like a hopeless situation. I raised my voice slightly. "Would you let my company handle that job?" Everyone's attention immediately turned to me. Sophia asked in a trembling voice, "Can you make it in time?" I nodded firmly. "You won't make it by car, but I can make it by bicycle." At my answer, everyone in the office made the same face. What is this idiot talking about? Everyone had that look on their faces. Since there was no time, I explained briefly. I used to ride a road bike. I still use a road bike to commute, so my bike is at the office. Fortunately, my shipping company's office is only a 3-minute walk from this equipment company. I was just about to head back for my lunch break after finishing this delivery. My supervisor, James, wouldn't complain if I used my break time to make a delivery on my road bike. I held out my hand. "Please, there's no time. If I cut through the mountain shrine, it won't take 30 minutes, but it's going to be close. I don't know how important the meeting is. Maybe they could just reschedule." But there wasn't even time to make that judgment. Spurred by my urgency, Sophia ran to me with the envelope. She then clutched the envelope to her chest with trembling hands. "What are you doing? Hurry." As I reached for her, almost snatching the brown envelope from her arms, she looked at me with teary eyes and murmured, "But your knee?" My eyes widened. Why would she worry about something like that? The question crossed my mind, but I ignored it. "It's fine." I said that one word and took the brown envelope. Then I turned on my heel and dashed out of the office. I could hear Sophia's pained voice faintly. "Please, be careful." I took that earnest voice as fuel and turned it into power. While heading back to the office, I called James and got his permission for the unexpected task. I was going to leave without even going inside the office, but James was waiting for me outside. In his hands were a bottle of oral rehydration solution and my backpack. "Thank you. This is a huge help." While I was putting on my helmet, James put the brown envelope he had taken from me into my backpack and handed it to me. He also put the plastic bottle into the bottle holder. "Just don't overdo it." James, who knows my past, looked at me with concerned yet determined eyes. I looked straight back into his eyes. "Yes, sir. I'm on my way." With those words, I got on my road bike and started pedaling. I rode along the flat roads near the office, obeying the traffic signals. After a while, the large mountain with the shrine at its midpoint blocked my path. There are no roads for cars on this mountain, with the reasoning being that it's unthinkable to cut through this sacred mountain where a god resides to build a national highway. But there are footpaths for worshippers, small hiking trails, and an old trading path that is now rarely used. Although it's rarely used, there are a few people who still use it. Like I used to. Yes, this mountain was my training course back when I was a road racer. Sometimes marathon runners also do laps here, so I can't let my guard down. But it's no exaggeration to say that I could still ride this path with my eyes closed. My body still remembers which course on the narrow path is the shortest way up and where to brake on the descent. Of course, there might be people The terrain might have changed since then, or there could be fallen rocks. As I pedal with heightened senses, memories of those days come flooding back vividly. I am a former road racer. In high school, I became captivated by that thin yet strong frame, started cycling, and by college, I was called a genius. I was especially good at climbing, so they called me the Peak Master. It means the one who conquers the mountain's peak. It's a little embarrassing to think about now, but I was undefeated on the mountains. My body was thin and small, and my muscles were suited for the mountains. By the time I graduated from college, several companies had offered me employment as a road racer, and I joined a bicycle manufacturer that I had been indebted to in my hometown, though it wasn't a particularly strong team. But it was unclear whether it was due to excessive training or if that was simply my limit. Just 2 years after starting my job, I suffered a major knee injury. I had surgery. I worked hard at rehabilitation. I intended to return as a road racer, but it was no good. I had lost my previous climbing ability, and climbing mountains had become painful. So, I gave up on cycling. The bicycle manufacturer asked me to use my knowledge to contribute in other ways, and I tried to work in maintenance and sales, but mentally, it was too hard to be involved with bicycles. Why isn't it me? Why am I not the one climbing that hill? Such thoughts would cross my mind. I tried to hide those feelings and devoted myself to non-road racer duties, but one day I suddenly realized, if I continue like this, I'll break down mentally. I resigned from the bicycle manufacturer and spent some time recharging. I didn't ride my bike once, didn't work, and spent my days idly. Occasionally, I went for a walk. On one of my walks, I came across a kindergartner practicing on a bicycle. His father was trying his best to teach him, but the boy wasn't improving at all. When the child finally started crying, I couldn't help but reach out. I had never taught a small child how to ride a bike. However, a road bike is a bit difficult to balance, even for an adult who can ride a regular bike. Recalling how I struggled to ride at first, and how I eventually learned to balance, I taught the child how to ride a bike. Within about 30 minutes, the child was riding smoothly. When I saw his smile, I thought, I can't race as a road racer, but I want to keep riding. Whether it's a hobby or anything else, I want to keep riding. I sincerely apologized to my beloved bike, which I hadn't polished in a while, and performed maintenance on it. As I did, tears started to fall. Those tears seemed to wash away the grime that had accumulated in my heart. After that, I started looking for a new job. I was unsure about the field, but since I also liked driving, I decided to work in my current job in the delivery industry. Why do I like driving? As I climb the mountain now, drenched in sweat, I wonder. That's it. The feeling of being on the road. It feels so good. As I muttered, out of breath, the words settled in my heart. Because I injured my knee, I haven't climbed a mountain in a long time. I've been riding on the flat roads of my commute or on flat coastal roads for fun on longer trips. As a climber, I'm not good on flat roads. My small, thin body feels like it's going to be blown away by the wind. Climbing a mountain again, after so long, my only thought was, this is fun. That was all. I pushed myself towards the summit for 10 minutes. Finally, the summit came into view. After this, it's all downhill. I have to descend at the absolute limit of my speed while being extremely careful. As expected, my time is slower than during my racing days. I have to make up for the delay from the climb on the descent. I took a deep breath and accelerated. I surrendered myself to the tingling sensation I hadn't felt in a long time. I had to deliver the documents as quickly as possible. I raced down the slope with all my might. Out of breath and drenched in sweat, I looked up at the man in the suit. The man's face was filled with joy, but he quickly disappeared from my sight. It had been about 25 minutes since I received the envelope from Sophia. I had arrived just in the nick of time for the meeting. In my prime, I probably could have arrived 5 minutes earlier. Despite confidently saying, "Leave it to me," I was a little disappointed in myself for cutting it so close, and I reported back to James and Sophia's company. Their words of gratitude filled my ears and gave me a new sense of determination. All right, time to head back. There were 35 minutes left until the end of my lunch break. I started riding towards the mountain again. I arrived back at the office 30 minutes later. It seems I slacked off a bit without a time limit. The rest is simply a lack of stamina. I reported to James and told him I would return to work immediately, but he strictly ordered me to take another 30-minute break. As I was resting my tired body alone in the office break room, I heard a commotion outside. And then, the break room door was knocked on forcefully. Yes? The moment I let out a dopey response, the break room door opened, and to my surprise, Sophia appeared. "What, Sophia, why are you here?" Sophia rushed over to me and lifted the cuff of my pants. "Is your knee okay?" It's a little warm. I'll cool it down." Sophia said this and placed an ice pack on my knee. Huh? What? Um. As I stood there confused, Sophia looked at me with teary eyes. "What if you get injured again?" Looking at her genuinely worried face, I managed to ask a question. "Why do you know about my knee?" At my question, Sophia looked down slightly. "Liam, you're Peak Master Liam, right?" At Sophia's words, my eyes widened as far as they could go. "What? How?" Sophia let out a sorrowful sigh. Finally, I could ask. Sophia, muttering this, revealed how she knew about me. Apparently, Sophia joined the cycling club as a team assistant in college after a friend invited her. That's where she was first captivated by road racing. And in that club, she was told by her seniors that there was a genius road racer and climber called Peak Master named Liam, although he had already retired. She was told they had won a championship thanks to him and was shown the trophy and a picture from that time. Seeing the small man smiling in the center, she had apparently hoped to see him race in person someday. A year later, she and the rest of the club came to see a race held in their hometown. I was watching from near the top of the mountain, and even though it was an uphill climb, you passed by in an instant. I was so surprised. To think someone could be that fast. While cooling my knee, Sophia smiled as if reminiscing about that time. The year after, I started volunteering as a member of the first aid team in the main tent. Hearing that, my eyes widened and Sophia nodded slightly. "There, I actually cooled your knee just like this." Sophia's voice trembled. "Yes, it was at that competition that I suffered a major injury, tearing the meniscus in my knee, and had to withdraw from the race. In the first aid tent, the pain and the sheer, bitter frustration were so overwhelming that I just cried. I covered my face with my arm, gnashed my teeth in frustration, and wept without caring who saw me. Even now, it's a bitter memory that brings a sharp sting to the back of my nose when I recall it. Just as I was lost in that thought, a small droplet of water fell onto my leg. I'm sorry for bringing up bad memories, especially since you're my benefactor." Sophia said that she had wanted to tell me she knew who I was ever since I first made a delivery to her company. But she couldn't bring herself to say it because it would mean digging up my bad memories. Her kind consideration warmed my heart. It's certainly a bad memory, but the fact that someone saw me ride in my prime and remembered it makes me happy. And knowing that person is you, Sophia, who has always been so kind to me, I'm a lucky guy. When I smiled, Sophia wiped her tears and bowed deeply. "Today, thank you so much for pushing yourself to deliver that. You really saved us." I waved my hand dismissively. "I'm glad I could be of help." Sophia bit her lip. "This is a huge help. This meeting was supposed to lead to our next big job, and I made a terrible mistake. If the meeting had been canceled, I might have had to quit the company. Really, thank you so much." She bowed deeply again, and I felt humbled. "No, not at all. Please raise your head. It's my way of thanking you for all the snacks." Sophia quickly lifted her head. That's not enough. I was a bit taken aback. I always get snacks from her. I'm always soothed by her cute, smiling demeanor. And even now, she's taking care of my knee like this. If I asked for anything more, I'd be punished. Would I be punished? Well then, I found a delicious Thai restaurant. Would you like to go with me sometime? I wanted to ask her out casually and smoothly, but the words didn't come out right. If I had asked casually, perhaps she would have accepted just as casually. Sophia's face turned bright red, and her mouth opened and closed. My heavy-handed invitation was making her uncomfortable. But then Sophia broke into a bashful smile and replied, "Yes, let's go. I'd love to." We coordinated our schedules on the spot and made plans for the weekend. I thought it might be a dream. But when Sophia appeared before me in her casual clothes, my heart leaped, realizing it was reality, not a dream. She was smiling throughout the meal. And the main topic of conversation was my college days when I was active as the peak master. She had apparently scoured through recorded DVDs and the like, and she spoke with delight about my writing. I was both happy and embarrassed and ended up just giving noncommittal responses like, yeah, oh, and thanks. As a result, by the time the meal was over, the atmosphere had become a bit heavy, and I felt pathetic for being so lame. After we finished eating and stepped outside the restaurant, Sophia turned to me with a smile. That was really delicious. I had no idea a place like this existed. Thank you for telling me about it, she said, bowing her head slightly. I managed to smile too. I'm glad you liked it. And so we naturally started walking towards the parking lot. We had both come here separately. So, once we got into our respective cars, it would be goodbye. There probably wouldn't be a next time. The conversation was terribly dull. It was all my fault, but still, the disappointment lingered. I'm sorry. I just kept talking about your active days. It must have been boring for you, Liam, Sophia said, blaming herself. I clenched my fists. I don't want to protect myself to the point of making Sophia say something like that. I'm sorry I couldn't speak well. It's because I like you, Sophia. I was nervous. I looked straight into Sophia's eyes. Straight, like when I used to pedal single-mindedly towards the summit. Sophia's eyes widened, as if she had been pierced by my gaze. I've always had a crush on you, Sophia. You were always so kind to me, even though I was just a delivery guy. That time, I was able to do my best because you were in trouble. I did it for your sake. I paused for a breath after saying that much. And by trying my best that time, the small bit of inferiority I had left towards cycling completely cleared up, and I realized I really do love cycling. So, it's me who should be saying, thank you. That day, the day I crossed the mountain, I was filled with a sense of refreshment. I didn't know what it was, and I had been feeling frustrated because I couldn't put it into words until now. But, while confessing to Sophia, I finally realized. My heart had cleared up after reaffirming my love for cycling. I'm sorry. This is so sudden. My behavior today. It wasn't because your topic was boring. I just wanted you to know that. If possible, I hope you can continue to treat me as you always have, at least on the surface. That would be a great help, I said, trying to wrap up the conversation. I don't want to trouble her any further. I bowed to her as she stood frozen with her eyes wide open. Well, shall we go? Thanks for today. As I started to speak, my sleeve was pulled sharply. Wait, please. Just wait. I was bewildered and stared at the sleeve Sophia was gripping. Yes? As I let out a confused voice, Sophia looked up at me sharply. What do you mean, as usual? That's impossible. I was flustered. Would she not even be able to interact with me as usual? The moment that self-deprecating thought crossed my mind, my ears caught an unbelievable voice. I've liked you for so long too. Why as usual? Can't we become a couple? I was so stunned by her bombshell of a statement that I just stood there, speechless. Sophia, her face red, continued in a rush. I mean, I've been hearing about how cool you are from my college seniors. I've been watching you in videos, and then this person I admired who was so out of my league suddenly appears before me as a delivery guy. There's no way I wouldn't fall for you. Even being told that with such passionate eyes, I couldn't believe it. But in reality, I'm this skinny, small, pathetic guy who's just been rotting away after quitting cycling. Sophia silenced my protest by placing her index finger on my lips. But you still love cycling, don't you? I nodded. Then you're not rotting away anymore, are you? To me, you're always a polite, kind, and cool road racer. Sophia's brightness washed over my heart. When I'm with you, Sophia, I feel a little more confident. You should be much, much more confident. You're the peak master, after all. I hesitantly put my arm around Sophia's shoulder. Then Sophia smiled softly. Next time, let's go cycling together, okay? And just like that, I got the most wonderful girlfriend, Sophia. Since then, the wind feels nice, doesn't it? Sophia and I are riding together on a coastal cycling path. I'm not a fan of the wind, though, because my body's small. When I said that with a wry smile, Sophia slid her bike in front of mine. Want me to block the wind for you? To her, smiling slyly from upwind, I pouted and moved in front of her. I can't let my beloved wife act as a windbreak for me. At my words, Sophia smiled happily. Yes, we got married a few years ago. Our relationship went surprisingly smoothly. Sophia bought a road bike similar to mine, and we went on cycling dates on the weekends. And even now, we enjoy cycling together on the weekends. We slowly circled the loop course and arrived home. As she took off her helmet, Sophia murmured, "Ah, that was fun. I wonder if Leo is being a good boy." The truth is, we were out cycling after leaving our 3-year-old son Leo with my parents. Dad was so excited to play catch with Leo today, he's probably exhausted by now. You shouldn't underestimate the energy of a 3-year-old. Perhaps imagining the scene, Sophia chuckled as well. We have to be grateful to my father-in-law and mother-in-law for giving us this time alone as a couple. I nodded at Sophia's words. I want to start teaching Leo how to ride a bike soon. At my eager words, Sophia gave a wry smile. Cycling with Leo will just be going round and round the park perimeter for a while, you know? Sophia gave a warning, and I chuckled wryly too. Cycling along the coast as a family of 3. I wonder when that will be. As I said that, Sophia leaned against my body. It'll be soon, real soon. That's why we have to enjoy the now. At Sophia's words, I imagine a future where the 3 of us are riding together. It was a very, very happy scene.